I remember walking into the jail at 16 years old.
Is by forgiving maybe others that have hurt me, it allows me to feel forgiven myself. It brings grace into my life.
Your life will change when you find somebody to share your life with that believes in you. Nobody gives you a blueprint of how to get through the chaos. You got to figure that out. That's where you find out who you really are.
Welcome to the Living Louder podcast. Today, I'm going to be visiting and having a conversation with an eternal friend, somebody that I love and have gotten to know. And actually, he's a business partner of mine as well. So I'm excited for you to meet him. Welcome to the podcast, Manny.
What's up? I'm excited to be here. I feel like it's been a long time in the making for us to connect on this platform.
Yeah, we've talked about it for a while. In fact, you were the one that said, make it the Living Louder podcast.
Has to be.
So I know your story so well because you and I get the opportunity to speak together and go to detention centers and all over the place. And we work together. And so I know your story and I know that you've shared it a lot of times. In fact, that's how I met you.
Right.
So I saw you on a podcast, heard your story, and immediately felt this connection to you. I was like, that person, I have to know that person. He's my friend. And reached out to you. And then at the time you were working at Papillon, right?
Yeah, shout out to Papillon.
Right. And so I remember coming there. I remember the first time I met you, you took both your hands and you grabbed my hand and said, it's so nice to meet you. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I felt just your love for humanity, really. And then I asked you to come and speak at a detention center that I was speaking at. And it's actually a detention center that you spent a lot of your youth in. Mm-hmm. And I remember that day because when you spoke to the youth, I again felt this like something inside my soul where I just went, this person needs to be a part of my life. You connected with the youth in a way I had never seen anyone do. And I love the youth. And I have a daughter that was struggling at the time. And so I asked you that day, I said, would you consider coaching my daughter? And you agreed to. And then that started the work that you've done with my family, which has been life-changing. And I also remember that the other facilitators that were there that day said, there is something so powerful, the way that person connects to the world. And I said, I know, like you just have a soul that connects to people in such a deep way. So I wanted to go back and maybe just have you talk a little bit about your childhood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when we went to that juvenile detention center, I think the first thing that stood out to me when I walked in was how familiar it was to me.
Right.
And then when I saw the boys and girls, I was like, oh, that's me. So it was more like I was talking to myself. I just saw this younger version of myself with the pain, the hurt, the shame, the guilt, the embarrassment, all those things wrapped up in one, and then feeling isolated and taken away and abandoned and stuffed in a box. And those times where I felt like I wasn't good enough or nobody cared or I wasn't valued and things like that. And I was like, oh, they need to hear something. They need to hear something special. They need to hear how special they are. Right. And how this is a launching pad for you. This isn't a place that is going to stuff out your flame. It will if you allow it to, but you don't allow that to happen because there is a purpose for you on this earth.
Yeah.
So that for me, that was a pivotal moment, I think, in the direction that my life was going to go. And hey, here we are.
Here we are. The other thing I remember that day was when you stood there, you said, today I got custody of my daughter.
Yeah, that was a big day.
It was a really big day. And you talked about, I remember you even said, you were like, it was a dogfight.
Right.
They brought up everything I'd ever done in my life. And you know what I said? And you looked at him and you go, what I said, if I did all those things and I'm standing here today, the man that I am, you can trust me.
Right.
I was like, I love that because it basically what you're saying is that if I can make those mistakes and come back from it, I'm deserving of your trust.
I'm the right person for this job.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, and I think a lot of times people focus on what they deem as failures in their life or things that they weren't able to accomplish. And that focus is exactly what will continue the path and the energy that gets brought into their life.
Right.
We need to look at the things that we go through as strengths. Like if I made it through that and I'm still here, I don't care about, the details of the situation that you're in currently, but let's focus that you made it through those situations.
Yeah.
You're the perfect person for this job. We need somebody that can go through hard things and come out the other side a champion.
Absolutely. And the way that you've coached my daughter, you've actually coached me.
There's another champion right there.
Yeah, I love her. I'm so proud of her. But she struggled, right? She had a mom who was addicted to drugs, who went to prison. Every hard thing she had gone through. You look at the ACEs test, which says that kids have these trauma markers, and she fits the bill. And I come home from prison when she's 12, and then everything's supposed to just be okay. No, she'd been through all this. And so when she started working with you and she was struggling, I would call you all escalated. I just saw this text. And you're like, have you forgotten all the strengths, all the things she overcame? And I love the way you do that. And the people that you work with, you're like, remember who you are, man, what you've already gotten through. You have a 100% track record of getting through every hard thing you've been through at this point. So I love that. What do you think gives you that view, that compassion, that level of faith in others? I know I had you speak, so we're members of the same religion, and I had you come to a Sunday school class, and I remember a question. They looked at you because you've been through some hard things as a child, right? Your mom struggled. I think your mom was 12 when she got pregnant with you.
12 when she got pregnant with me, 13 when she had me. Dad left immediately. Well, I think his mother moved him away. It was like, this isn't going to be your path in life. And then my family struggled with another mouth to feed. And my mom has 5 other brothers and sisters. And so, and she also had this thing called codependency that she was really attached to. So all of her relationships were super unhealthy.
Yeah.
And so shortly after they had me, there was 2 more boys and 2 more girls. And it wasn't long before the Division of Child and Family Services, Child Protective Services, intervened and said, enough's enough. We're going to take these kids away. Yeah. And so that's when I journeyed into the foster care system. So, my life pretty much started out in dysfunction and chaos.
Yeah.
So chaos was something I was used to. It wasn't something like, oh my gosh, I'm going through some difficult times. What am I going to do? It's like, okay, this is the norm. You got to get through it.
Yeah.
Nobody gives you a blueprint of how to get through the chaos. You got to figure that out. That's where you find out who you really are.
Right. And as a young kid, we don't know how to raise ourselves. And your mom was a young kid when she had you. And I remember that day in church, somebody said, how have you been able to forgive your mom? Because there's a lot of people kind of stuck on, my parents did this, and rightly so. Parents don't have the rule book either. But you looked at him and you said, because that's what Jesus Christ asks us to do. And and everybody just went, oh. And they're all all fairly religious people, but it was different when they heard somebody who'd been through the foster system and had a mother that was addicted to drugs and never really had a home and in and out of detention from the time he was a kid say something like that. Like, I have absolutely forgiven the people that harmed me. And what I think that does, and what it's done for me, is by forgiving maybe others that have hurt me, it allows me to feel forgiven myself. It brings grace into my life. And so that's something that you are such a good example of. Like, you not only forgive the people that hurt you, you've forgiven yourself. I feel like because of that, you're a father and a community member. And so tell me, like, growing up in foster care and in and out of detention, there was abuse, things that happened that...
Yeah, there's a lot of mental, physical, emotional abuse that would take place in some of these foster homes. I was separated from my brothers and sisters and then bounced around place to place. Now, I think here's where something special happened for me, is where a lot of other kids maybe had imaginary friends that they leaned into. Mm-hmm. Mine was Christ. Mine was God. Mine was Heavenly Father. Like, I always believed there was a power greater than myself that I was connected to, and those are the conversations I had. Yeah. And even at a young age, I would have these conversations like, I don't know why you have me going through these things. I don't know why I'm separated from my mom, my family, my brothers, my sisters, but I believe in you, and there's a purpose.
Yeah. And that we had a conversation a while ago, and I remember you saying, I never knew my father, but I have the greatest father.
Right.
And I thought, wow, like, that's a different level of connection to a higher power when that person is the only father that you've had.
Well, and I got to decide what that father looked like, presents himself, communicates, how he shows up. I got to decide that.
Yeah.
And when you chart towards the positive, when you lean towards the benefits and you live in gratitude, your life is going to be filled with blessings. So even going through these difficult things, like, yeah, foster care was difficult, but it led me to taking a chance on my own. At 12 years old, I said, I'm done with the abuse in these foster homes. I stole a bike from the bike rack out of my elementary school, and I rode probably 100 plus miles from the town that I was in to the town where I knew my mom was at and chased her down.
Yeah.
That was me taking a chance on myself.
Right.
And as crazy as the situation is that pertains to that, like those lessons early on, that's a skill set that helped me become who I am today. Right. So I'm grateful
for all those hard
everything that I've been through.
Yeah. So you took a chance, you went out on your own. I wonder, looking back, do you feel like God was with you in all of those things, even the hard, every
step, every step. And a lot of times it's like, the story of why was there only one set of footprints in the sand? Well, that's when I was carrying you. I was carried a lot through a lot of those things that I wasn't even aware of.
Yeah.
So I would start going through the juvenile justice system after I ran from those foster homes, juvenile detention centers, secured lockup, group homes, things like that. And every time they put me in a placement, I'd get an opportunity to run, and I'd run away right back to the streets, right back to my mom, who was in her drug use, who was in toxic relationships, around my uncles who were using or drinking, around my cousins who were smoking marijuana or drinking alcohol, things like that. And I tried all those things.
Yeah.
12 years old, I tried methamphetamines for the first time.
Yeah.
And then I picked it up again when I was 14, and I would do it consistently till I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
In and out of the streets, in and out of lockup, in and out of gang activity, toxic relationships, right? But those are the relationships that I was seeing my mother in. Those are relationships that I was seeing around me. So, of course, those are the relationships that I mimicked.
Right. That's what you were drawn to. So with drug use, too, at a young age, you kind of had to take care of yourself. There were times that you were homeless, right?
Well, I knew that if I had a bag of drugs, I had a place to stay. Somebody would open their door.
Yeah.
It wasn't the healthiest places, but it was a place.
Yeah.
And also it gave me like a sense of value, a purpose or power.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't weak.
Right. Oh, man. So what happened when you were 16, 17 years old that changed things?
Involved in a drug deal that didn't go the way that it was planned. I had a gun. Another person I was with had a gun. It ended up turning into a robbery situation. I shot my way out of the house. Somebody got shot twice by me. Certified as an adult once I was picked up. Sent to the juvenile detention center. Drove right across the street to the adult jail and booked in as an adult. Mm. I remember walking into the jail at 16 years old, terrified, because I didn't know what I was going into. I mean, the juvenile detention center is just this like little dinky building.
Right.
And then you look across the street and it's this massive complex.
Right.
And it's like underground, and there's tunnels and everything, and they're walking, and you've got your little bag. And, in juvenile detention center, they're kind of nice to you.
Right.
They treat you like kids. But once you walk through that jail, it's different. When they start patting you down and you got to strip out and all those things, and, you go through that whole degrading process, and then you're sitting in this pit with all these people that are coming in, these adults that are coming in off of heroin, and it's terrifying.
It's scary. Yeah. There's something different. The first time that I went into a county jail, there's a different energy altogether there. I remember calling Chad and I was like, this is not like I'm used to. This is very different. It's almost animalistic at times.
Right. But you walk into this massive section and it's just all these cells and there's glass windows in front of the cells. Everybody comes to the front of their cell and they're looking, and you got people yelling, like, there he is, new fish, we're going to get you. Just all these crazy things. And it's very overwhelming. Yeah. And so going through that, not knowing what my future looked like, knowing this is a serious situation. And then I would get certified as an adult as part of that process, sent to prison.
Right.
So
who did you have to call? I can't imagine for me, I
called my mom.
Yeah.
But she was in the streets in her addiction as well. So, I mean, she was crying, and I'm sure she felt the impact of everything because it's her baby boy.
Right.
And she couldn't do anything. But, I mean, there was nothing she could do before that.
Either.
Anyways, I'm sure there was a lot of powerlessness on her side.
Right.
I mean, I could only imagine. But then I would be sent to prison. And so I turned 17 years old in the county jail and then went to prison where I turned 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
So I did a total of between 6 and 7 years. Got out the first time. And of course, when I went into prison, I just gravitated right to the people that I was familiar with. The gangs, the drug use, the toxicity.
Well, it's scary. Like right away when you go to prison, you're trying to find somebody that you can connect with. You
have to pick a path immediately.
You got to pick a path. And for me, it was like, okay, I don't even know how to use, I don't know how to use the phone. I don't know where to go to the chow hall. I don't know where to get my clothes. I mean, you're just kind of on your own, but I can't imagine being 17 years old. Like I was 43 years old and I could call my husband and I have people that are writing me letters and still it was one of the loneliest experiences of my life. I can't imagine being 17 years old and going into an adult prison and navigating that. And if it gets weird, there's a cat running around and that's just the cat that's part of it.
We love that cat.
Yeah, we do. Someday I'll tell the story of the cat lady in prison that we had. We had cats in prison too. But anyway, so for you, when you walk into that prison, you're picking a path. It's the people from the street that you've grown up with.
You gravitate towards your race in prison as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm like a mix of Mexican and white. So I grew up around the Chicanos in the streets. That's what my mother is. That's what I am. So that's what I gravitated towards. And also in the streets, I was a part of the gang. And so I gravitated towards the gang in there. And it wasn't a lot of fun.
No.
It was a lot of figuring out how to survive. Where's my place? Where's my value? What do I got to do so that I don't become the person that's at the bottom of the food chain?
Right.
Because the weak get taken advantage of.
Right. Yeah. So in that time frame, did you prepare to come home?
I mean, I got my high school diploma.
That's cool.
That was a plus.
Yeah, that's super cool.
But I didn't have a home to come out to.
Yeah.
I knew I didn't have an address to come to. And so I went to the halfway house. When I went to the halfway house, it's just a whole bunch of people who don't have anything going for them. They don't have the family support. They don't have the opportunities. They don't have the skill set that it takes to make it out here.
Yeah.
And so within a month, I was right back in prison. I went on the run. You know, my value has always been tied into some type of relationship. And so I latched onto the first person that showed any kind of interest in me.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't long before I was back in prison. And then, of course, that person was with somebody else when I was in prison. And that became a whole cycle and a pattern of itself.
Yeah.
And then I would continue to do that for 20 years, in and out, in and out, in and out.
And every time you left prison, did you think this is the time? I got a plan. I'm going to make it this time.
I put this grand plan together and I'd get out and fall right on my face.
Yeah. Yeah. What changed? So you were involved with the gang, you're in and out of prison, and then something happened. You had this amazing little girl. So tell me what that was like for you.
I was in a super toxic relationship and then she said, I'm pregnant. And
sounds so romantic.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well then I need to change some things. And of course I didn't change anything. I got deeper into the drug world. I got deeper into the toxic behaviors. Mm-hmm. And when my daughter was born, I remember holding her for the first time and saying, like, I will do anything and everything to protect you.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to go through what I went through. And then I immediately walked out of the hospital room and went onto the parking lot and got high.
Yeah. And what was that like for you? Like for me as a mother who loves my kids so deeply, the pain of not being able to get myself together for them was so deep. Like when I got to prison, because I had been using drugs, when I got sober and I got to prison, I was just like, what have I done? Like that's how I felt. This, what have I done? For you, you made a decision when she was born, even though you were still in and out of the streets. When you went back to prison, you kind of decided, that's it, I'm done with the gang.
Well, my drug use, even like when I went out of the hospital room and used, wasn't because like, oh, I value the drugs more than I value this little girl that I just held for the first time, which is true connection, which is everything I've been searching for my whole life, is because I didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what opportunities I can reach out to. I didn't feel like I had a support system that I could lean into. I just knew I wanted to be a father and protect her. But how was I supposed to do that? I've had no examples of what that looks like.
Right. No support, no resources, no family that's sober. And so where do you even turn?
That becomes overwhelming. And so I go out and I use because like maybe this will
make it feel better.
And it didn't. It made it worse. And so I would keep going back and forth to prison. I left her with her grandmother, and then I would go to prison and make a decision like I need to separate myself from the gang.
Right.
If I just separate myself from the gang, I can go be a good father.
Right.
And so on the main yard of the prison, I forced my gang to jump me out, and they beat the crap out of me. They stomped me. It was the worst beating I've ever had in my life. It was so bad that the other gangs on the yard had to shout out, hey, he's had enough. When I was on the ground, they were kneeing me in the head. And I remember as much physical pain as I was in at that time, emotionally and spiritually, I'd never felt more freedom.
Yeah.
I'd finally done something pivotal in my life, which was separate myself from something that was bad for me.
But that's not easy to do. You're in prison. This is your home. These are your people. And to make that decision and walk alone after having been gang involved, that takes, I mean, like you say, there's the strength that comes in that choice.
But what was crazy was, my gang didn't like it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other gangs, I felt like they gave me some respect because of the way I went about it. I didn't just go to the officers and say, hey, move me. I can't live here anymore. I'm not in the gang. I actually went and faced, I went out the same way I came in.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of people that do that.
Right. Yeah, that's the Manny Lopez that's always willing to push the button.
The detonation button. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, not the sell button.
Yeah, not that button.
I know. I remember telling you, I was like, when I went to the jail the first time, I pushed that emergency button so many times. I said, I don't know why they didn't stop me. And he goes, because you were the entertainment.
Yeah, I remember that was one thing they communicated right away.
Yeah,
you
don't push that button. I've done a whole video on not pushing the button, but having gone to prison, here I go to jail and I've got a headache and I'm totally like, I get it. I had no experience or background in any of this. And I'm thinking, if I push the button, they'll take me to the hospital and give me a shot for my headache. Nope. They take you to a little tiny cell and life gets a lot worse.
They're like, no, not here, princess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now I laugh at myself, but anyway, so you get, you jump.
Yeah, I got the crap beat out of me, and I thought my life was going to get better just because of that, and it got worse because the gang was actually a crutch that I leaned on in times of difficulty, and I didn't have that anymore. Yeah. And I was still super addicted. I still was super codependent. I still was, lost, and I didn't know how to be found, or if I even wanted to be found. Maybe I wanted to just sit in this. Maybe I just wanted to feel sorry for myself. But ultimately, I wouldn't allow myself to do that.
No.
Like, you got to get up.
Yeah.
Like, you made a commitment. You followed through with this to be a father, so go be a father. And then I would get out, and then I still had the addiction, so I ran right back to that. I still had the toxic relationship, so I ran back to that. And then I would become the father that showed up with arms full of gifts to see my daughter at her grandmother's, and couldn't stay more than an hour or two because I was filled with so much guilt, shame, and embarrassment that I ran right back to the streets, right back to the toxicity. And that was a pattern.
Right.
That would show up in all of my relationships.
It's interesting because I think sometimes things just have to get worse until you hit we talk about rock bottom, but like I can look at my own journey and think, man, if I could have stopped here, man, if I could have owned it there. But it wasn't available to me until I reached a place where I just had to climb my way out. And that time came for you. Right. So what was that experience like?
Well, I separated myself from the toxic relationship that I had with my daughter's mother. And then I met Misty.
Yeah.
And my life changed. Now, like I do want the viewers to hear this. Like, your life will change when you find somebody to share your life with that believes in you. Once you find somebody that cares about you, like, and maybe it's not so much what she has done for me and supported me and the weight that she's pulled in the relationship. But even just to the point where like you limit yourself on all the time you're spending chasing all these different people trying to figure out who you're going to be with, that you can, all that time goes into something more focused. And you're working together with somebody to build something, and somebody believes in you. And so you don't have to worry so much on what people think about you, because you have a partner there that's telling you, don't you dilute yourself. Don't you stop being your authentic self.
Right.
Don't you be scared that the world isn't going to accept you. I accept you.
Yeah. Which I think was so necessary for you because you had never had it.
Right.
And I think it's very rare. I know your wife, and she's beautiful and amazing and compassionate, and she came very broken.
Right.
That's what you were attracted to.
Well, she was selling drugs. I met her in a motel room. She was damaged just like me. So that's why I fell in love with her immediately.
Yeah.
And then I would spend one night with her knowing I was going to go back to prison the next day.
Right.
And she stuck by me, which was rare. And I got out, and then we continued into our drug use. But one thing that she always did was she never judged me. Mm-hmm. Even when I was in my drug addiction, paranoia, feeling like the world was out to get me, she never called me crazy.
Mm-hmm. So do you think when a person's in this situation, whether it's a parent that's listening or somebody that you love, because I've had the same experience with my husband, he saw the best in me in my weakest state. And that's powerful. When you can love someone at their weakest state and believe they can become the better version of themselves, that is life-changing. And not, I don't know how to explain it. I know, Misty, and I think you've done that for each other. You are so on each other's team. And it's rare. A lot of people don't find each other in their addiction. But there was still a point where you had to do it on your own.
Well,
you
Misty
had to do
didn't
it
try and fix me.
Yeah.
I think that was powerful. When I was going through something, Misty wouldn't give me advice or try and fix me. She just would listen and support me and be there for me. And I mean, I recently did a video on this, like, don't fix, just listen.
Yeah.
A lot of us have the answers ourselves, and we know it. We know the difficult things that we need to do. We just don't want to do it right now. We're just not at a point where we just want to vent and talk about it. And sometimes we just want to sit in it. Allow us to sit in it if we want to sit in it.
Right.
You know, maybe encourage us to put a time limit on it, but don't try to fix us.
Right.
Because then you become just like everybody else that has talked down on us and told us that we're wrong or we're bad. If you're trying to fix me, that's telling me there's something wrong with me.
Right.
Which means there's something that I'm bad. And that's a problem for me. And I will fight back against that.
Everyone will. I work with youth, and that is their biggest thing. What do you wish your parents knew? When I ask them that I can fix myself, they don't need to fix me, that I have the answers. And they do. And I say this too, like, nobody had to tell me, because I hear people all the time, I wish my kid just knew this. Nobody had to tell me I was a mess. I already knew. Right. On some fundamental level, I knew. I just needed people to believe that I could figure it out.
Yeah. Stop trying to save people from difficult things. The difficult things are what make us who we are.
Right.
If I had to go through what I had to go through, I'm not upset at the world. I'm not upset at my parents. I'm not upset at anybody. Like, I get it. I accept it. I'm grateful for the moments and the things that I had to go through. I started out as an underdog.
Yeah. Which
means I had nothing to lose. So every situation that I went into, even all this business stuff that we're going into, like, I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
But if I have nothing to lose, that also means I have everything to gain.
Right.
And that means I can try and try and try and try and try. And if I fail and fail and fail and fail, I go right back to zero where I was already at anyways.
I love you. You're so cool. So I get it. And when I was locked up, I remember.
It's unlimited upside.
Yeah, it is. Like, freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose, right? I burned my boat. I'm fighting to the death here. And there are a lot of people locked up that feel that way. Like, what do I have to lose? Now, if we can just help them see, what do I have to gain? Like, I have everything to gain in this situation. That's different. Yeah. When you started seeing who you really were on this earth and people started seeing you for who you were, it changed things. And that happened first with someone you never thought would see that in you, and that was a judge. And I wonder if you'll...
Yeah, so the last time that I went to prison, that was when I started. So my last incident of incarceration would start with, I would go back to prison for crashing a stolen vehicle, jumping out, trying to take somebody else's vehicle. This is the time when Misty and myself were separated, and I passed out in this person's vehicle, woke up in the hospital, passed out again, woke up in the backseat of my parole officer's vehicle, being driven back to prison. Get this, for the 11th time. And that was where I had my aha moment where like, I was like, okay, enough is enough. And I feel like my higher power, who I choose to refer to as God, said, this is on you. You can't blame the foster care system, your mom, the relationships. You can't blame the cops. You can't blame anybody but you. Take some accountability for the first time, Manny. And I did. And I knew I couldn't control how much time I was going to get, but I could control what I was going to do at that time.
Yeah.
And I started working on myself and working on myself and working on myself. I got into a program. I started reading self-help books. I knew when I talked to my daughter for the first time, she was 3 years old at the time when I went back, and she said, Daddy, where are you? How selfish I really was.
Yeah.
Because I had had a choice, and I had chose the streets and the drugs and everything. She didn't choose to be abandoned. She didn't choose to live with her grandmother instead of her father. And I knew that I would set the example for the type of relationships that she was going to get into in her future. And if I didn't change something, she was going to end up with somebody like me, somebody who's in and out of prison, in toxic relationships, abused, an abuser. And so I focused on what was in my control, which is what I was going to do with my time. And yeah, I battled. And when I presented myself to the judge, I presented myself to the judge as a changed man, and I let him know, I've done time my whole life, and that's really all you can get out of me if you sentence me to prison. But if you give me a chance at treatment, because that's what I need, then I will do just as well there as I did here. And this man looked at me very intently, and he said, Mr. Lopez, you're right. All I can give you is time, and time has not served you well. So I'm going to sentence you to prison. And my heart sank. But he said, but I'm going to suspend the sentence, and I'm going to sentence you to 36 months probation. You're going to go to that drug program, and you're going to do just as well there as you did here. Or I will give you every day of your sentence. And like that, my life changed. Because just like you said, somebody I least expected to see anything in me was willing to give me an opportunity. And life moved fast after that. I went to the Board of Pardons. They let me out 2 weeks later. And I went to a program called Odyssey House of Utah. Shout out to Odyssey.
Yeah.
Amazing part of this story is Misty, who's now my wife, she got herself into treatment before I got out. She went to the House of Hope program. It's an all-women's program where she could focus on the trauma that she's experienced in her life. Got to have her on the show. I mean, she's
For
powerful.
sure. Yeah.
And so when I got out, she had boundaries, and I was unfamiliar with her having boundaries.
Right.
And so, but she said, look, you're going to go into that program. You're going to focus on you. Mm-hmm. You're not going to worry about what I'm doing, and I'm not going to worry about what you're doing, that was super difficult.
Yeah.
Because that was probably 70 to 80% of our relationship was focused on the other person.
Right.
Now let's make it 90 to 99%.
Let's get real.
And I did, and it was difficult, and I had to hold people accountable, but I was committed, and I wanted to be a father. And I remember a lot of these people I know were from the streets, from the prisons, and I'd been around a lot of these people that were in the program with me, and not everybody had the same intentions. Mm-hmm. And I remember holding people accountable because that was a part of the program, because I committed. I was going to do things the way that it's supposed to be done for once in my life.
Right.
And people didn't like that.
No. People give me heat about that still. When I talk about it, I'm like, yeah, I held people accountable in a program. You're a snitch.
Yeah.
I was like, I was fighting for my life, and I will do it all day long.
Don't put me in a situation where I have to choose between my integrity and whatever kind of secret that you want me to hold.
Well, I won't do it either. Yeah. Yep. And so people can call it whatever they want. But when I challenged that in myself, I gained so much strength. Yeah. And I really cared about the people too. Yeah. Like I wanted them to be the best version of themselves.
Right. And like don't get it twisted. Like I'm not going to call the cops on you, but I will separate myself from you, and we just won't be in the same circle.
Right.
And that's probably going to have more of a negative effect on you, because the direction that I'm going in life, because I am true to the principles that I believe in. I'm true to the integrity that I hold myself. Right, I'm true to my character, my commitment to a set of values without compromise. I will not lower my standards because you refuse to raise yours to a healthier place.
Yeah. So how did that go for you?
It went crazy. I walked alone for a while, and that was difficult. But in that loneliness and isolation is when I was able to find who I really was. Loneliness and isolation is when a caterpillar gets its wings. Right. And I feel like that's when I started becoming the person that you see today, which is I am happy with who I am. I can be by myself and be okay.
Right. Yeah.
Because I know that I can overcome anything.
Yeah.
And I know that my higher power is going to show up in my life the way that I need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
100% of the time.
That's the faith that I love so much in you, man.
That's that childlike faith.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful.
So, I mean, we became certified peer support specialists. Shout out to all you peer support specialists out there. We used our lived experience to help people, got into treatment, started working in treatment. And that was difficult because we didn't have a lot of skills, but we had a lot of lived experience. A lot of lived experience.
Right.
And I mean, people almost immediately, they latched onto us. They wanted to know how we did it. They wanted to be a part of whatever we had going on because it represented them.
Yeah. There's nobody like you that works with the people. And I want to point out too, so Manny does this amazing rap music. You have to check him out, SL Manny Boy, and he gets a crowd going. He does that when we go into prisons and speak, and you are for the people.
Yeah.
And
I just speak the people's stories because my story is their story.
Yeah.
And that's the message that they need to hear. That's the message that I needed to hear. Like they say the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Well, I feel like 20 years ago, somebody should have gotten out from my crowd and created something like this that I would have been able to get out to. But they didn't.
Right.
And so we're going to start planting those trees now. We're not just planting one tree. We're planting trees everywhere we go.
Yeah, we are.
And so like we created Level Up IOP. Shout out to Level Up IOP with Utah Family Therapy. Shout out to Utah Family Therapy. And we're coming up on a year now. And in that year, the growth has been amazing because the community and everybody that wants change, they've been hungry for something like this.
Right.
And so when we go to these events and we go to these places and we speak and we share and we go into the halfway house where the people that are getting out of prison don't have anywhere to go, the places that I've been many times, or we go into the prison, people latch right onto us. They cry when we share our stories because it's powerful, because we are that underdog that they are. Yep. We represent everything that they want in life and everywhere that they came from in life.
Yeah.
That is us. This is our story. And who better to lead the way than us? And shout out to the Utah Department of Corrections for giving us this platform and these opportunities to do this.
Right.
Because 10 years ago,
wouldn't have happened.
We would have presented something like this and they would have laughed at us.
Right. What's beautiful for me to watch is that the Utah Department of Corrections raised you.
Right.
I mean, you're their son.
Right.
And they love you. And so when we walk in, you don't just give hope to the people that are in prison, you give hope to the officers.
And hugs.
And hugs.
Lots of hugs.
But you give hope to all of them, because it's not easy to be a correctional officer. It's not easy to be in the system on either side. And for them to see somebody make it out, it gives everybody hope.
And these are the same SWAT team, correction officers, COs that chased me around town, that searched my cells, that like busted me multiple times.
Yeah.
And so like, they literally have seen the whole thing. They've seen the growth. They've seen the struggle. They've seen, we recently had a baby, my wife and I. So we got custody of my little girl, and that was amazing. We have both of my wife's boys in our house, and I get to be a father to them. And we recently had a baby. And my wife had to go through surgeries, and we had some miscarriages, and it's been super, surface, my life seems like so cool and amazing and fun, and it is. But there's also struggle, and there's also battles every day, and there's also difficulties, and I've faced lots of adversity. But when you get into a pattern of accepting those challenges, knowing that if you work hard enough and get to that breaking point, on the other side of that breaking point is growth.
Right. Well, you've already committed. You want this more than anything.
More than anything.
Anything, period.
And this isn't for me. This is for generations that aren't even here.
Yeah.
This is for people that aren't even in recovery yet, that are still in drug addiction. People that haven't even experienced drug addiction yet, but will.
Right.
And then will need a pathway into recovery.
Right.
This is so much bigger than any of us.
Yep.
And as long as we keep showing up and being our authentic selves and leading by example. And look, if you want to work in recovery, I hope that you know that you have to live the principles that you are helping teach in your personal life just as much or even more as you present those in your public life.
You can't, yes, absolutely. And you can't expect anyone to do anything you're not willing to do.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so, I mean, that's where I'm at today. And I get to do a lot of cool stuff. I I approach burnout a lot. I'm just going to be honest. Like,
Yeah, you're there.
This is draining, but it is so rewarding.
Yeah.
And so your cup will go down to empty, but then it'll be filled right back up.
Yeah. We're going to give
always keep your connection with your higher power. Always.
Yeah.
Whether it's the same higher power that I believe in, or it's something different, whether it's cosmic energy, or connection, vibrations, if it's the ocean, if
nature,
it's nature,
whatever it is,
whatever it is, you find that. For me, it's all the same.
Yeah, me too. So we're going to give you a week of a break because you've been tired and running hard. Good luck taking it. I already know.
Yeah, good luck keeping me away. I mean, I know I need it, and I'm going to take this break, and I'm just going to spend time, especially spend time with my girls.
Yeah. And then you'll come back strong, and I'll have you back on the podcast.
Yeah. Maybe I'll come back with a tan. Who knows?
This is Manny's like weak point. So if you show up like this in your weak point, you're amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. The power and the goodness that I've seen in you and the influence that you've had on me and my family, it's been such a privilege to walk this path with you.
Well, I know I made it when I made it on the Portia Louder podcast.
Well, the Portia Louder podcast is lucky to have the Manny Lopez on. You're like my favorite guest. You know that. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here?
Good question. Where do we go from here? What's in our future?
Right. We're coming up on celebrating 1 year with Level Up IOP. I'm super excited putting together an event for that. Mm-hmm. It's probably going to be in October, and I've already looked at spaces, and we're gonna pay for everything. The community is going to be able to come out. Free event with music, entertainment, resources.
Yep.
It's our way of giving back and saying, hey, we see you, and we know that you trust us, and we want to continue to show up for you.
Yep. We're going to change the world. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah. And every single one of us has the ability to do that. And remember, as an underdog, you have all the upside.
That's right.
Everything to gain.
Okay. Thanks for being here, Manny.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Love you.
Love you too.